Enrichment is one of the most important parts of your parrot's life for maintaining a healthy life and a healthy relationship. But I always say if you don't fear for your parrot's life every time you put something into their living space, you don't have a healthy enough respect for how dangerous enrichment can be. There is no such thing as a toy or parrot item that is 100% parrot safe. Let's take a look at my top 5 items that I would never give to my parrot. First on my list are hidey huts, tents, snuggies, and in some cases, buckets. Any item my parrot perceives as a nest, I don't want. First of all, let's talk about nesting behavior. These types of toys can trigger nesting behaviors in parrots, which can lead to a lot of problems. Your bird may regurgitate more, show increased nippiness or aggressive responses, or even get stressed out, and that's not good for either of you. I extend every effort I can to avoid reproductive behavior in my parrots. Nesting behavior leads to egg laying, increased biting, and even an increased level of vocalizations such as screaming. This is all a normal function of the parrot's natural behavior when it forms a strong pair bond and has a nest to defend. I don't want any of that. Egg laying can cause a lot of health problems, not limited to intestinal prolapse and calcium deficiencies. I saw an almost immediate reduction in screaming in my Moluccan cockatoo Sam as soon as I removed his bucket of toys and replaced it with a much less nesty alternative. I talk about this in our Masterclass in Screaming, which you can check out in the links in my caption. I have to say, I think burbs and tens are really cute, and a lot of my parrot behavior clients come to me with nipping and screaming issues that have these little tents. We might think that the tents make our parrots feel safe, when in fact, safety and that feeling of which is a byproduct. Your parrot could get in there and it's guarding its nest space, and they have a more enclosed space which they can grab you when your hand is close. More than likely, the hidey hut is making your parrot feel horny. Whenever I take something away, though, I do replace it with something else. I like to give the bird a feeling of privacy in a non-nesty way, like creating a screen with fresh bird-safe branches and toys. Most parrots nest during certain times of the year, eclectus parrots being a notable exception. By giving your parrots access to nesting and offering them other variables such as a rich diet and close contact, we are literally telling them to make babies, which isn't healthy. Another thing to think about is the materials used to make the toy. If you absolutely just have to give your bird a tent or a bucket, you want to make sure that the hidey hole, cubby, or bucket is made of safe materials that won't harm your bird. Avoid anything with strings or holes that give your bird something that they could accidentally get caught in, and make sure that plastic or metal items are safe and the right size for your bird. I have seen several PSAs from vets that show crop impactions from the bird chewing on the fabric without the parrot's family realizing it. The fabric is indigestible and makes a mass in the parrot's crop that has to be removed and can also cause death. Now, speaking of fabric, let's talk about the second item on my list, cotton ropes. Danger. You'll find a lot of these items on parrot toys sold by major parrot toy manufacturers or made as purchase and swings. First, let's talk about the big danger of causing constriction. When the parrots chew on the cotton and becomes untethered, it can create long strings that can even wrap around toes and possibly even necks. I've seen it, y'all. As the bird chews on the blocks, beads, and other items that are threaded on the cordage, the rope gets longer. It can create tassels that are long and really dangerous. The parrot gets stuck and struggles, causing even more constriction very quickly, which has produced truly tragic results. Just like with the tents and snuggle huts, the fibers can be chewed on, break off, and create an indigestible bolus that petrifies in the crop over time. Cotton rope perches, coils, and swings are also perpetrators here that will get nibbled on as the parrot sits on them, especially at the ends. It can start to unravel really quickly and easily snag nails and toes in the process. Parrots are not necessarily known for their chill, so when something happens that is unexpected, they often have an outsized response to it, which if you're married to a Brazilian like I am, you know that this makes matters a lot worse. Cotton gets soiled easily and can be challenging to keep clean. All perches and toys need to be cleaned regularly. If your parrot has a dominant foot to eat with, we call this the greasy foot, or is just a messy eater with a lot of moist foods, they will wipe their beaks on their perches, toys, and balls. They will also track food on their perches, which need to be cleaned often then. Otherwise, these furnishings will spread bacteria and can cause long-term foot damage, including bumblefoot. Bumblefoot is when your bird has a sore on their foot that gets bacteria. The sore scabs over with the bacteria stuck inside. The process keeps repeating and it can get really ugly, causing really nasty inflammation. Unclean perching and fat parrots are particularly susceptible to bumblefoot. My preference for materials to use for swings and connecting toys is easily chewable material like jute and sisal. My third dangerous item is long lengths of or loops of chain, or even the aforementioned natural materials like sisal. When you have these long lengths, they can easily get wrapped around a neck or a wing, leading to your bird's death. I have seen these really awful, tragic social media posts where someone has come home from work to find their bird strangled by one of these chain-based enrichment items. Talk about devastating. I don't wish that experience on anyone or, of course, any bird. This doesn't mean that all chain is bad. It means that having toys with blocks or items threaded through the chain and the bird saws through it quickly, it becomes dangerous when the chain forms a long length or worse, a loop. If you have a parrot that buzzes through wood quickly, it's something to be really careful if this is how you offer toys. Also, most chains sold in parrot toys are nickel plated, which is generally considered safe. However, if you're like me, you might reuse these toys because why throw out good items after a single use? Over time, we need to watch for rust, as this is dangerous to our birds. If your bird is in an outdoor aviary, this is really important to look for. However, just the same, if your bird is a heavy chewer, they can make even, quote, safe toys dangerous by making the metal flake off and ingesting it. Complacency can create major issues for our birds. When metal toys become old and rust, the heavy metals will become soluble when wet, which causes risks when ingested by our parrots, leading to heavy metal poisoning. These baffle cages can rust over time and could lead to problems in some cases, even if your parrot doesn't chew on them outright. Toys are designed to be used, chewed up, and beat up on. This changes the way your parrot will interact with them over time, and we have to be careful in order to keep our parrots safe. The wild has a very cut and dried way of handling a parrot's mistakes and indiscretions such as these, and we have the opportunity and the know-how to keep them safer than a parrot's best decisions. Fourth on my list is inappropriate sized quick links and connectors for the toy size. I see this all of the time with my macaw and cockatoo toys. Big old toys that are fitted with a quick link that's too thin. I don't know if it's the toy company's way of saving money or trying to also use chain that is too small and weak or what, but it is very upsetting. Not only then does it not fit on the bars of my parrot's home space, but the parrots can easily bend the quick link or connector piece, which then either gets stuck on the bars or the aviary mesh, or even scarier, on their beak. In fact, I have had quite a few clients working with me who have had very upsetting incidences where their parrots, because of a stuck quick link on their beak, now have to restrain the bird to get it free, and their bird is terrified of them. It's a really big deal. These stainless steel O-rings are often used to help supply a thicker link, but they can also get stuck. I hate it. It's so scary. My palm cockatoo Jupiter has had 2 incidences with his beak involving toys just like this. They have really powerful beaks, and he crunches any smaller quick link, which can also create smaller pieces with the spinner that could then be swallowed. Getting a toy stuck on the home space bars is also terrifying because if the bird then interacted with the toy and got stuck then, we would be in big trouble. Want to guess what my 5th least favorite parrot toy is? It's these foraging toys that encourage parrot people to fill them up with nuts and seeds. I walked into many a parrot home with a foraging wheel or other expensive foraging toy that is filled to the brim with peanuts, almonds, hazelnuts, or even sunflower seeds based on what the product picture showed. This is way too many nuts for your parrot to consume in a day, let alone a week. My parrots that aren't free-flighted get less than a nut a day. This is in accordance with veterinary nutritionist advice by Dr. Scott Eccles, which you can hear on the first episode of the Avian Behavior podcast, linked in the caption, and many other veterinary nutritionists. They do not need this much energy-rich food in their diet, and it takes up too much space in the day for more nutritional foods, and it can likely be the culprit to many behavioral and physiological issues. These foraging toys can provide enrichment for other fun, including dry mixes that your parrot likes, such as pellets and the sprinkle of the occasional seed or fraction of a nut. You can make them harder by adding in other items that the parrot has to sort through in order to get to the good stuff. If your parrot only eats fatty, sugary foods, then we need to build more skills and healthy eating habits to get them off this one-way train to Problemville. Giving in and throwing in the towel is only going to lead to screaming and biting issues, pair bonding that causes attacking, nest defending and egg laying in hens, and physiological issues that has been heavily documented in the scientific literature. So what is the answer here? Truthfully, it totally depends on the species of parrot that you have, your daily schedule, and your bird's toy playing behaviors. Your parrot's engagement in enrichment is a really important part of their day, and we talk about this in our Screaming Masterclass when we develop a pie chart of their activities. There is no such thing as a 100% parrot-safe material, and many of the types of toys that are safe for some parrots are not safe for all parrots. It really takes observing your parrot interacting with materials to see what they will do. I have seen people forego plastics because they are unsafe if consumed, but honestly, even natural materials are highly unsafe as well if they are ingested. Essentially, anything non-food that you see your parrot eating can cause impaction issues that can be fatal. We have made our world extremely unsafe, even for us. There are hidden dangers everywhere, and keeping our birds healthy and content can feel like a stressful job. There are heavy metals everywhere, from our food and water systems to our household items. Here at ABI, we like using the thrift and dollar stores for enrichment items because we can come up with creative ways to incorporate items onto existing parrot toys to reinvent the way a parrot will interact with them to keep engagement high. It's still important to keep an eye on the way these toys start to wear with use. My favorite way to keep my parrots engaged is to watch what they like to do to get into naturally and do my best to mimic that. When they destroyed my shutters, I gave them untreated thin wood strips connected like shutters. When they showed that they like dumping things off my counters, I gave them their own toys in a tray to dump over and over again to my enthusiastic reaction. So as we've seen, parrot enrichment is crucial for their physical and mental well-being, but it's important to remember that not all types of enrichment are safe for parrots. Always research and supervise your bird with any new enrichment and enrichment material to ensure that they aren't putting themselves in danger. Keep them happy and healthy by providing a variety of stimulating activities, but always prioritize their safety. Just because something is safe for someone else's parrot doesn't mean your parrot will interact with it the same way. And just because a toy is made with natural materials doesn't mean it will be safe if ingested. Now you know how to look for enrichment dangers, but you may not know what happens when you have an emergency. If that's you, watch this video where I'll talk all about my macaw getting heavy metal poisoning and what I did.